Alright, we are here. We're doing the thing. Quick audio check, make sure everything sounds good. Didn't know if I was going to do 2 videos in a week or not, but I figured I might as well. Awesome. Audio's loud and clear. Alright. I know it's a Friday night. You guys could be doing anything. So, why not a good time to put out a video? Because those who are sitting around doing nothing, they could be anywhere, they could be doing anything. They could be sitting here, they could be watching TV and just listening. So, it's just one of those, see what happens. But I've been kind of juggling with something for the last week. Um, you know, it's part societal, part not. But I've seen the question come up in different forums, some on social media, some on just sites, and that being, so many people were trying to say being spiritually awakened is the exact same thing as being woke, and I want to be the first to say no, it is not. Being woke is being more aware of problems within the world, within society, within um, political agendas, so on and so forth. Spiritually awakened is you're more adept to seeing the things within spirituality that you would not see on the physical. Um, so no, they are not anywhere close to the same. They might have ties that might interconnect, but they are not the same. Um, and the big thing with that being, um, if you're spiritually awakened, you might see, colors in the world differently than what you did beforehand. You might see uh, patterns within your own life that didn't make any sense before. It seemed all chaotic, but now have, uh, again, ties to situations that you thought had nothing to do with it. You're able to put pieces together a lot better. You're a better puzzle solver within your own life, or within someone else's life if you're connected with that. It has nothing to do with being spiritually, or being woke. Being spiritually awakened has everything to do with your own personal and maybe your close family or friends' lives. Being woke, again, it's strictly social. Um, whether it be political, just societal. So no, there is no connotation that they are one and the same. Um, I wanted to get that out first and foremost. And being woke, the whole motto now is, get woke or go broke. That's a bullshit statement. It's a bold bullshit statement. um, I see more problems with the quote unquote woke culture than I see the spiritual awakened culture. People who are more spiritually awakened seem to think more for themselves than the herd mindsets. Hey Nova, how's it going? Of course, Nix. I figured you'd be here. Thank you anyway. But hey, Emily. But yeah, like the get woke go broke crowd, they seem to have a very herd mindset that if you don't agree with them, they'll come after you. And let's face it, sheep are not predators. So I would rather be the wolf in sheep's clothing as opposed to just the sheep following the shepherd to my slaughter inevitably. And I'm sure anybody with a sound mind could say that. Anybody who's spiritually awakened can say that easily. They would much rather be able to formulate their own opinions, their own thought processes, their own will, if you were, as opposed to just follow blindly to the inevitable end. I mean, because that's exactly what you're going to do. You're just going to follow until you fall off a ledge, or get sent to the butcher. It's that kind of a crowd is more of a self-fulfilling prophecy than even the spiritual one. The spiritual one, you kind of make your own choices. You kind of like choose who you want to, work with, or who you want to believe, or anything of the sort. Whereas, being in that, that quote unquote woke crowd, you're just following what the ebb and flow of what society is saying. Hey Janet, how's it going? Appreciate everybody stopping in. Like I said, it was just kind of a spur of the moment thing. I didn't figure this was gonna be a long live. Not one I'm planning on like fully keeping up, but I might edit part of it. I wanted to test something at the very beginning just to see if the music came through, and it did. But it's just I wanted to play that song at the very beginning of the stream just simply because it resonates. And yes, I do have a new light, so it should look a little bit more clearer than normal. I've been kind of tinkering with a few new things, so this is kind of like a tutorial, my self tutorial of a few new things, but at the same time, I wanted to get some kind of a message across for everybody to maybe take to heart, maybe pass it along to others, and get it off my chest. That's what a lot of these are. It's just getting stuff off my chest. So I might put out more regular, shorter videos. Light makes my eyes look very, very blue. It's kind of a soft blue tint right now, so that's probably why. But yeah, like the live streams is more getting stuff off my chest. Maybe I can teach someone something, something someone may need to hear. Whereas like some of the shorter videos I plan on putting out sometime in the near future might be more informative, like towards a specific path, or if you're looking to try to get into a certain path, or might just have generalized questions about something. Maybe it'll clear some of that up. But like I said, these lives are more just kind of like an open forum that probably won't stay up. I might post them somewhere else, maybe in Discord. I don't really know. But that's pretty much what that boils down to. But looks like we got four or five people in here right now. How's everybody's Friday going so far? Nix, I know how your Friday's going because you're in the other room. I hope everybody's had a pretty decent day so far. Looking forward into possibly having a decent weekend. I didn't want to cut into... I know Prophetic Lex is going to have her video or her live later on, so I didn't want to cut into that time. I just figured I'd throw something together real quick, hit on a couple points, and go from there. It's going pretty good. That's good to hear. If I go live with anything else later, I have probably be playing a game or something. Found your Misfits shirt after a month. Nice. I've got one around here somewhere. I haven't seen it for a few months. Raining. We have had rainy days for the last 2 days, and then it cleared up today, but like I can feel like there's more humidity coming. I don't know if we're supposed to get rain in the next day or not. I will actually check that now because I'm actually curious. No, it's actually supposed to be sunny tomorrow. It's supposed to be sunny all weekend. Well, that's a plus. But yeah, like the humidity's just it started ramping up in the last couple hours. Like it could, maybe do a small shower overnight or something. And usually my knees will start bothering me whenever that is the case, but they're not really bothering me. It's just it. I think it's just all sinus where it's becoming springtime. It's like my sinuses have been tricked. Underpants gnomes like to steal Misfit shirts. I believe that, actually. I highly believe that. But yeah, I haven't found my Misfit shirt since the summer, end of summer. I might have to try to see if I can track that one down somewhere. It might be in the room somewhere. I'm not entirely sure. I wouldn't even know where to look. But does anybody have any questions pertaining to like what the title and what I was kind of rambling about? A little bit. Like, anybody need any clarification to what I was meaning? I try to make that as plain as possible, but it seems like a very common misconception that those two subjects are the same thing, and they're not. Like, they're not even close. I mean, I can reiterate that, in a generalized answer. One pertains to society, the other one pertains to individuality. But I don't care to elaborate on that if needed. You missed the first half. Basically, what I was saying is being spiritually awakened is more uh, like a self awakening, like whatever path spiritually you decide to go on. You kind of have that eureka moment to where it all makes sense, to where like pieces of your life can that just look like jigsaws all over the place, just unconnected, start fitting in different places, and you're like, oh, that meant, or that was there because of this was here because of that. Or you might see it for someone around you, someone you've lived kind of close to in that situation, and you've just kind of been there. Whereas being woke is more just following what the popular narrative is in society. The whole get woke, go broke bullshit that everybody wants to hear. Societal injustices, stuff like that. Yeah, there's plenty of those, but you got to think for yourself. You have to think for yourself in that regard as a spiritually awoken person to basically decide if it's a cause worth fighting for, or putting your 2 cents on, or suffering mob mindset against you. I would much rather be against the grain and pick and choose which groups I would much rather support, as opposed to just saying, oh, this is all right, it's absolute right, as opposed and not think any further than that. Some causes, yeah, there's an absolute right and wrong. Some of them, not so much. There's a very, very deep gray area there, that there's rights and wrongs on both sides, and you have to decide which good outweighs the other. Because, I mean, two sides fighting for separate causes, neither one of them could absolutely be wrong. Yeah, there's always a gray area. On anything you do, there's always a gray area. The spiritually awoken crowd are more inclined to see that gray area, as opposed to those who claim woke. They're more the fake woke than anything. They're just going with the flow of what's popular, so they don't get shit on by the masses. I have more appreciation for those who think for themselves or outside of that box. I don't want to get into like all the politicals with it all, but the far right, the far left, good examples. There are plenty of people who are stuck in that middle, that moderate left or moderate right, that if you lean one way, the other crowd on the opposite side of the spectrum will throw you to that extreme. They will, if you're slightly moderate on the right, they will say, "Oh no, you're alt right," so you're instantly a Trumper. And I've seen that happen to a lot of people. Or, you lean more slightly Democratic, but you want to stay as close to moderate as possible. You're instantly socialist. Stuff like that. Uh, the awoken, or the spiritually awoken crowd tend to have more thick skins when it comes to all, and kind of laugh that shit off. So the people who go with the flow of the popular and don't stand up for themselves, yeah, that's pretty much what it boils down to, because they won't even try to fight back with what the popular crowd say. They just kind of like, anybody against that, that ideology or that agenda are instantly the enemy. You're instantly the opposite, the opposite of everything that is just. And that couldn't be further from the truth. I know plenty of people who are more conservative, myself being included. I'm more conservative, and that came with age. That will, I will say, some of the democratic ideas and some of the things, some of the causes that are being fought for in terms of injustices. Yeah, they're fair. They're fair, but I wouldn't go as far as rioting in the streets because of something, because I see too many people who could get potentially caught in the crossfire. I think more like that. The mobs that want to rush and riot and burn and all this stuff don't think about the people who just are trying to live. They don't want to get swept up with that rising tide that is so against, so much against hate crimes that they become the hate crime. And we've seen it. And I'm not putting any kind of group at the forefront. It's been throughout history, different things. And I'm hoping we don't see this again with this growing support Asian Americans or support Asians or anything like that. I don't want to see more rioting. I don't want to see any of that. Hey, 925. But yeah, I just don't want to see that. I don't want to see more people get swept up by angry mobs or anything. Yeah, it has happened on both sides, very relatively recent. But at the time, no one wanted to think about those who were just trying to not put themselves in a position of, I have to take one side or the other, and just get stuck in the middle amongst the fighting. There's plenty of people who got caught in the crossfire. And that's not fair to them. Those are the people I look out for more so than just one side or the other. Because, it's not fair to someone just trying to live their life day to day and not have to get, caught in the middle of a rushing mob just trying to go to work or come home from work or anything like that. So, yeah, like, if you ask me where my stance typically lies, yeah, it leans conservative, but not so much to, like, extremes, condemning everything as, something whatever you would label as. It's not even a matter of that. I'm looking out for the people who don't want to get caught, like, again, like if they're going to work, coming home, whatever. Try to see both sides of a perspective, but it is also easy to forget that other people's perspective. Yeah. And media doesn't help any of that. They're focused on the large groups. They're not stuck, or they're not focusing on the people who honestly don't want to take a side because they will be labeled. And yeah, again, I lean more conservative, but I'm more of a moderate than anything. I'm a moderate conservative, if you want to put it, to that context. And I grew up Democratic, so I'm always going to have those old school Democratic thought processes. Not so much condemning like race groups or religious sects or anything of that. I have my own opinions of religions, and race isn't ever an issue to me. Yeah, the victims of that kind of violence can make the same argument. I agree. Media just fueled fire. Absolutely. Before that even popped up, I was getting ready to say the exact same thing, Janet. The media has fueled fire on both sides. But they don't, they want to focus on one side or the other. They don't want to focus on the people stuck in the middle. And I think that's an injustice unto itself. And I think a lot of those people, they see the get woke crowd on either side. Because, I mean, they're on both sides. If you're looking at it politically, they're on both sides. They're on the right and the left. So you've got woke crowds on both sides. You've got people stuck in the middle that, they don't want to choose that because they see too much of the wrong on both. And I do too. And it's just me speaking from personal perspective. I see way too much wrong on both sides. They just need to tone it back a little bit and roll some of this revolutionary change by the wayside, because clearly it's just going to piss people off. You've got to roll it little by little. Whenever you drop curtains, they're just dropping it all in one go. They're not just slowly just trickling it down. It could be easier to accept things when it's not completely dropped on your lap all at once. It's become political to the point that the people who need stood for end up getting caught in the crossfire and completely forgotten about. That's pretty much what I'm getting at. The people who don't want to choose a side, they are the forgotten. I tried to play that angle as long as I possibly could. Just trying to stand up for it. And, my voice got lost in the echoes of the two warring sides. And I think too many people's voices got lost in that. There were other people who were trying to speak out and say, two wrongs don't make a right. And no one, there were no ears for that to fall upon. None that had any kind of influence. So, my thing is, oh, hush. I get what you're doing. But yeah, I don't have a loud enough voice to speak up for millions who got swept under the tides of war. The political war, the whatever you want to call has happened over the last year, almost year and a half. And one voice won't be enough. I mean, clearly. I don't consider myself anything special, but, I try to play the moderate as much as I possibly can. I lean more on one side than the other, more times than not. But that's not always a bad thing. And that's just only because, over the course of my years where I've been around political sides for so long, I've watched the tide shift. I've seen how much it's changed. I've seen how much the roles have flipped. And it's kind of sad whenever you think about it, because the side that you always thought would look out for the middle class, they really don't that much anymore. They'd much rather care about lining their own pockets than actually look out for their neighbor. It's quite unfair. And then the side that actually tries to keep structure gets condemned for not willing to bring about radical change, even though it could throw the entire country into turmoil. I mean, like I said, no one wants think about it like you're working an office job. You finally get your last report that you need to do, and then the boss drops in a whole stack of paperwork, says it has to be done in 2 hours. No one likes that kind of stuff being dropped on them. So, and that's what I see this country doing right now, currently. That's why I'm saying, like, the spiritually awakened crowd, they have more of a tendency of taking a step back and looking at things from a different perspective than those who just kind of go with the flow. I mean, going with the flow is all fine and dandy. It's the safe course of action. I got 5 minutes. Oh yeah, I do. But yeah, like I said, um, the big thing with it all, it's not so much on the political side of it. It's just doing what you feel is right for you in your current situation. You're not looking to change the world overnight as a spiritual person. You're not. It's just not. It's not physically possible. Um, and anybody with a sound mind knows it's not physically possible. It's going to take a lot of voices. It's going to take a lot of energy. It's going to take a lot of people willing to exert said energy. All you can do is try to make your personal life better through your own individuality, your own spirituality. The only thing you can hope for is someone actually hears you and understands. I mean, there's no other way of putting it. You've got to look out for number one. If you feel like a cause is just and you feel like you've got enough to fight for it, put your 2 cents in, but don't put your life at risk. Just don't. You risk your livelihood. You risk your physical being. You risk a lot of potentially wasted energy if it goes sour. So weigh your options. You're spiritual. You use your gifts. Everybody has spiritual gifts. It's just a matter of untapping them. So whenever it comes to it, don't be the sheep. You can wear the wool all you want, but be whatever you feel that you are underneath the wool. If you're a sheep and you're inclined to feel like a sheep, absolutely go be the sheep. If you're a wolf and you just kind of want to ride the tide for a little bit to see where it goes, but you have to claw your way and bite your way out of it, do that. I mean, it doesn't hurt to, dip your toes in and see where it's going. But make sure you keep enough mind to where you can think for yourself and have a backdoor option if it starts looking like it's not going to benefit you in any way. Not enough people do that. And that's where eventually the society that we know is doomed to fail. Too much radical change and too many people who are biting back. If you don't go with the flow, they'll trample you to death. So the only thing, the biggest thing with this message, with all of this message, is first and foremost, think for you. Think for those around you. Think for the people you can actually touch, who you can actually affect. Then decide if you're going to have enough energy to save the world. Not everybody's going to be able to do so. So if you feel like you're Superman, have at it. But that's all I've got. I've been here for 34 minutes. Yeah. I'll catch everybody next time. Thanks for hanging out. Peace. Maybe. There we go. Alright, see you guys.